Their epic moon mission inspired the world and had us holding our breath for 10 days. Now, 3 weeks after splashdown, CBS News is honoring the historic Artemis crew. They traveled farther from Earth than any other human ever has, and they grabbed some incredible, breathtaking, first-of-its-kind photos while doing so. The astronauts
It's really from launch to landing, but it doesn't end until those shoots come out. But for the landing, it's like all the sights, all the feels. It's like the best roller coaster ride you've ever been on. The first thing you see is like plasma, the colors starting to show up. This fireball building outside the windows. It was red and it was coming down, and then it was like blue and green. It was like somebody was welding, like flashing. It was so bright I put my dark visor down, like my sunglasses on. And then when the drogues come out, you're like getting thrashed around and you're pushed into the seat with the G-forces. It's just all really exhilarating. And then the drogues cut and you're falling again. And then the mains come out. And then Christina and I did one of these.
Fist bump. CBS News senior national correspondent Mark Strassmann has been following the Artemis mission from beginning to end. Mark, you had really like a one-of-a-kind experience covering this story, which really united all of us. What was the most memorable part of the mission to you, and what was it like seeing it from conception to where we are now?
Well, let me just say first, that town hall this morning with the astronauts was just great. I mean, Vlad, you guys did a great job. And Adriana, you said that you know, how good the questions were that the kids asked. I'd go one step further. They asked better questions than we usually do. Okay. And so that was very impressive to me. The highlights to me were some of those images we just saw. The images from space of Earthsat, the Earth dipping below the lunar horizon. It was all just sort of humbling and spiritual for many people, and a reminder of just how small we really are in the universe. And those images were so inspiring to so many people. And then just sort of, if you'll indulge me for a second, on a personal level, it was a one-of-a-kind experience in this respect. At one point, we had the chance to interview the astronauts on their way to the moon. We've all done Zoom interviews. This interview was 180,000 miles from where I was sitting, right? I mean, between me and them, 180,000 miles. And so from start to finish, it all just went so well, and it had so many remarkable moments. And it's tough to pick a couple, but those are the two that I guess that I pick.
So, Mark, one of the things that I didn't want to ask them because I didn't want to put them on the spot, but at one point, you know, Reed mentioned Artemis III, and the question that I had was, are they going to be the same astronauts that go up in Artemis III, or will there be another cadre?
No, well, it's first of all, they haven't named the crew for Artemis III or Artemis IV yet. It's probably unlikely this would be the same group. There are lots of other astronauts who want their crack at space too. And Artemis III is essentially a final test flight before Artemis IV, which was the moon landing. You can't have a landing without a lunar lander to take the astronauts to the lunar surface. Right now, 2 companies, SpaceX and Blue Origin, are developing lunar landers. They're not ready yet. But assuming they are ready by next year, Artemis III will be in Earth orbit, and the astronauts will practice docking and rendezvous maneuvers with one or both of those lunar landers. And that is all a prelude, a prequel to the eventual moon landing, which will be Artemis IV, which NASA hopes could be in 2028. But again, no lunar lander, no lunar landing. And at this point, that lander is just not ready.
How far are we from the lunar lander? I mean, I know that there were some pretty big issues with them, with the development, Mark.
Yeah, it's Adriana, great question. It's very hard to tell. SpaceX was originally given the only contract for the lunar lander. They fell behind. NASA wanted to get sort of jumpstart the process a little bit, and so they invited Blue Origin to come on in and take a crack at it too. And so they both are developing it, but NASA believes that it's going to be ready in time. But so far, we haven't heard what the progress essentially is and when either lander is going to be ready.
Another type of space race. My vote for the Artemis III crew is the understudies for the Artemis II crew, because they were backup people for all 4 of them. Yeah. So they should get their chance to fly.
I'm sure they have their fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you for joining us from your beautiful office in Atlanta. We love that.
Thanks,
I know you
Strassmann.
decorated it all yourself.
Did it myself.
Yes,
well,
you did.
I hired someone to do it for me. But
You got a good eye. You got a good eye, Strassmann. Thank you.
All right, let's bring in CBS News contributor Janna Levin. She is also a physics and astronomy professor at Barnard College, which is an affiliated institution of Columbia University, of course. So, Janna, we've been talking about the Artemis II crew all day. They were here in studio with us earlier on CBS Mornings. The astronauts are getting back to work after their journey. What is next for NASA's research in the coming years?
Well, if you think about all the changes that we've seen since the Apollo mission, I mean, I was imagining people crowded around a black and white television set, right, watching that launch. Our technology has come so far. I think that where we are now, both with involvement of commercial industry and just our the enormous leap in our technology, that we have a much shorter window between Artemis II and Artemis III. So the hope is to really accelerate that process so that when Artemis III launches and we're testing, still doing proof of concept and testing these lunar landers, that we'll do so at such an accelerated pace that we actually get people back on the moon within a year after that. So I think what's next is a lot of decompression, a lot of analysis of what happened to their bodies, how the life support system worked, if they felt the radiation exposure was safe, and all of these kinds of issues for the next manned mission.
So, Janna, we had Academy Award-winning Apollo 13 director Ron Howard, who came by to talk about the story of the aborted 1970 mission. He asked the Artemis II crew about training. I want to play a little bit of that.
You know, you've spent many hours, days, weeks, months in space at the ISS. The three of you, I know, spent a lot of time. And Jeremy, your first time, but I was curious. You know, it's not like the space program has stopped. There's been a lot, tremendous ongoing effort for decades. So I was curious how different the experience of going to the moon and making that mission work compared to your other longer stays at ISS.
You want to take it, Christina?
So many ways. I think the training was different. I think the main difference was we were doing this for the first time, whereas the ISS, we've had people in space for 25 years straight. Your entire life, not every human has been on the planet. And so they've got that figured out in so many ways. They're still innovating and doing amazing science all the time. But we had to figure it out as we went. We got to work hand in hand with the engineers. We weren't just getting trained. We were actually a part of the team. And that continued right through the whole thing. I mean, the views were different, of course, and the space was different. But honestly, that aspect of it, to me, was the most significant.
What a great answer.
Yeah, her answer about the views was really incredible because, of course, they got a view of the moon that even the Apollo astronauts who had been on the far side of the moon had not had, which is more of a bird's eye view. They were actually further out, but it gave them a larger kind of eyeful. And they also got to see a total solar eclipse, like their private solar eclipse. The moon eclipsed the sun for them. Right. So they really did have a very unique experience out there, not only to be the first humans to go that far, but also to see sights that no one has ever seen before.
So, Janna, was it that the Apollo 13 crew, they were too close to the moon, or they passed above like a higher point of the moon that they didn't have that same perspective that the Artemis crew had?
Yeah, they were actually much closer. And one of the reasons that they wanted to be further out was to do more prospecting of what the surface was like on that side of the moon. It is different. So part of the moon is always facing the Earth, which is why we used to say the dark side of the moon, but the other side isn't dark. It gets light exposure, but it's the side that's always away from us. And the Earth has had an effect on the surface. So whether objects are constantly bombarding the surface of the moon is different on the side that faces us than the side that's away. So they're really trying to understand the lunar surface, in part to find places to land, to understand what prospects for water might be like on all sides of the moon. So it is, part of this larger plan to eventually have a station on the moon.
I mean, and as Pink Floyd famously sang, I will see you, Janna and Adriana, on the dark side of the moon. Also,
Yes,
Janna,
indeed.
what is that math problem behind you? Because it looks like ancient hieroglyphics to me.
Yeah, I'm looking at a higher dimensional space.
Oh,
so
great.
the possibility that the universe has more than 3 spatial dimensions. Believe it or not, we take that actually quite seriously. We think that there could be an imprint on the early universe from the geometry of the universe if it has larger dimensions, higher dimensions?
Well, you and I laughed about it when we taped that pilot of a podcast that I will just
Yes.
reference a young Alvy Singer and say, well, the universe is expanding, so why bother? Janna Levin, always great to have you, my friend. Thank you
love
very
this
much.
space
Great to see
Yeah,
you,
it's a great
bud.
show.
Great
Yeah,
to see you,
a lot of space
Ariana.
show.